Now that we know how to do the basics of interval notation, that less than or equal to, greater than or equal to correspond to a graph of a dot and and squared off brackets in interval notation, and that a less than or greater than without the equal to would mean we use a circle on the graph and we use parentheses on the interval notation. Now that we know this, oh, and that negative infinity and positive infinity can never be reached, so they're always parentheses. Let's practice doing some of these problems in interval notation. So if we wanted to write the answer, all x is less than or equal to -3, I like to start by putting this on a number line. So here's my -3. It's a less than or equal to, so we will use the dot. And we want x's that are less than. Which way is less than on the number line? Well, that's shading to the left. Now, always remember, smallest comma biggest. What is the smallest shaded number here? Negative infinity. What is the biggest shaded number here? -3. Infinity and negative infinity are never included. We always use a parentheses. Since this is a dot and a less than or equal to, we will use a square bracket. And there is our answer in interval notation. What about x is greater than 1? Again, start with a number line. We're going to put a 1 here. We want to be greater than, not greater than or equal to, so we use an open circle. Greater than means we're shifting. We're shading to the right towards the positives. Now we always want to write smallest comma biggest. The smallest shaded number where it ends is a 1. The biggest shaded number is infinity. Infinity always gets parentheses. And in this case, the 1 has a circle and a not an equal to sign, so we use parentheses. And there is our answer in interval notation. Starts getting a little bit trickier when we start having multiple things that need to happen at once. So what's this one look like? Well, we have a -5 and a +6. So here's the -5 and here's the 6. Always, 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 when you're putting things on a number line, make sure you are going smallest to biggest, left to right. Don't get them out of order. So we want x is less than -5 or equal to. So less than or equal to, we use a dot, and which way is less than? That is this direction. Then we want greater than or equal to 6, so we put greater than 6, no equal to, so we'll put a circle on the 6, which way is greater than, that is this direction. Now you'll notice that there are two shaded portions of this graph. That means we need two intervals or two sets of parentheses to write the answer fully. And we always go smallest to biggest, left to right. So we're going to start with this shaded portion because it is the smaller of the two. The smallest number on this shaded portion is negative infinity. And did you see how I automatically put that parenthesis there? Infinity and negative infinity always get a parenthesis. Biggest shaded number is -5. It is a dot or a less than or equal to, so he gets the square. What is our smallest shaded number here? That is a 6, comma, biggest shaded number. This goes all the way to infinity. Infinity is always a parenthesis. The 6 is not included, so we will use a parenthesis here. Now, when we want to put two of these together in my open math, we're going to use what is called a union symbol. It looks like a U without the down thing. Funny enough, if you want to shortcut typing one of those, usually you can just use the letter U and that will be your shortcut on the typing. But this is the answer that we want to represent the shaded portion or the shaded answers. This is our interval notation. All right, let's look at two more really quickly. This one isn't so bad. What are our two numbers that are involved? -12 and 4. Make sure they are in the correct order on the number line. -12 is a less than or equal to next to it, so we use a dot. 4 is a less than next to it, so we use an open circle. And do you see how the x is between these two? That means that we want to shade everything in between these two. This one is actually, I think, one of the easier questions because we just need to do the smallest shaded number, comma, the biggest number involved. 12 has a dot and an equal to, so it's included. 4 has a circle, but not an equal to, so it is not included. Smallest to biggest, left to right, we've got our answer. All right, now This one's a little tricky, but it will come up on occasion. So how do I graph everything except 5? Every number except 5. That's what x is not equal to 5 means. It means you can't be 5, but you can be anything else. So if we think about that on this number line, that means if we've got this 5 here, he can't be included. So he's got to be a circle. But what is included? Literally everything else. So how am I going to shade this so literally everything else is shaded as part of my answer? Well, I'm going to shade all the way down to the left to infinity, and I'm going to shade all the way up to the right to positive infinity. Now notice this piece of shading is broken into 2 pieces. There's this piece of shading and this piece of shading, and it's broken at 5, right? So let's just do this first bit of shading. What's the smallest number that's going to be shaded here? Negative infinity. What's the biggest number that's going to be shaded here? 5. So we have a parentheses here, and 5 is not included, so it's a parentheses, right? Now, a lot of my students want to start the next one at 6, but let's think about this next piece as if the first part wasn't there. Just look at this shaded bit. That shading goes all the way down to what number? What's the smallest number involved? It's a 5. And what's the biggest number involved? Infinity. Infinity is never included. 5 is a circle, so it's not included here. And this looks a little bit weird because we're taking negative infinity all the way up to the very, very, very left side of 5. And then we just hop over 5 and start right on the other side and just keep going all the way to infinity. And if we use the number 6, we'd lose like the number 5.5 or 5.25 or 5.1. So we have to use 5 in both of those. It's a little bit funky. All right, now we've gone over this once. What's wrong with this one? Why is this a problem? What is it saying? You're like, that doesn't work. What we're saying here is 15 is less than 1. Is 15 less than 1? Nope. So this is a DNE. You'd be shocked at how many of my students will write this as an answer. But if you look at this answer, again, what's wrong with this? You always want to go smallest to biggest left to right, and 15 is not smaller than 1. So this is absolutely not right. And actually 1 comma 15 isn't right because this is saying 15 is less than 1. It just doesn't work at all. So you just need to be really careful with your interval notation. Smallest number, comma biggest number, left, comma right. Always that order.